Today, we're going to try and tackle the age-old question of why do my knees hurt? So the simple place to start is what makes your knees feel worse and what makes your knees feel better? If more activity makes your knees feel better, already have your answer. However, the sneaky part about this one is that instead of doing more of what you're already doing, you may actually need to be a little bit more consistent and targeted with some of the work that you do. A simple place to start is to start with adding a very simple knee care routine of two different types of hamstring quad motions to the knee to be consistent and constantly progressively load those tissues so they can get used to movement. For example, you might want to do two compound movements, a short split squat, and then maybe a hamstring hip thrust. And then break it down after that into a simple isolated hamstring cable curl or any kind of other hamstring curl, and then a very simple closed chain knee exercise, such as a single leg wall sit. But then there's going to be someone who tells me, John, but this activity or more activity actually makes my knees feel worse. Stop. If your knees get worse with activity, maybe it's that you haven't built up the load tolerance, meaning that everything you're doing every day is pushing that red line on your knees, and you have to dial things back to build up some tolerance first. You can therefore start with something like a single leg wall sit to build up some isometric tension, and then a long lever hamstring bridge to build up some hamstring tension and strength, and pair together that calf and posterior chain work. And then there's option number 3. What if it's not your knees that are actually the problem at all? What if it's because your hips aren't moving well, or you don't have a good interaction with your foot and ankle at the ground? Here's 2 easy tests for those. This is our scissor slide drill, but it's also a really nice test to show you how well your hips may or may not be moving. People don't realize the effect it can have on your knee if your hips and your pelvis aren't able to shuffle appropriately. A lot of times this presents as an internal or external rotation deficit, but sometimes you can do simple tests and move that around and see if it feels fine. But doing it when our feet are touching something or a more stable surface can be a little more restrictive. So all you need to do is lay down on your side, put your feet firmly against the wall. Now, I'm not saying press them. I'm saying that you're going to rest them against the wall. And then make sure you're at about a 90-degree angle and try and slide your top knee forward and backward without turning your back. Try and keep the rest of your body nice and still and slide that top leg forward and backward on top of the other bottom leg. If you can't do this without lifting your foot off the wall, rolling your back, or any of other kind of compensation short of just sliding that knee forward and backward, you probably have some tight hips. And guess what the solution to that's going to be? Doing more of that drill, among other things. Our other test is to check how well your ankle and foot are working. People always want to do the knee to wall test, but what if it's that your foot isn't what we call pronating and supinating well on the floor? That's going to affect your ankle and then therefore what happens at your knee. So an easy way to check this, take off a sock, ball it up, put it underneath the arch of your foot. I don't care whether you have high arches, low arches, doesn't matter. We're going to be in a nice half kneel position. We're going to make sure that we leave ourselves plenty of room. Now all we are going to do, we're going to keep our foot loose. We are going to push that shin bone, not our knee. We're going to let our shin roll forward and roll backward. We're going to sit back and then we're going to roll forward. As we do this, we want to feel as if we're getting less pressure on the sock and more pressure on the sock. Less pressure on the sock, more pressure on the sock. If you can't get a feeling of this archway moving up and down, or say, for example, you go forward and you get no change and it just goes right to pressing into your toes, you are likely not pronating well. If you rock backward and you still feel like there's a ton of pressure here, or you can't go backward at all without twisting at your hips or something else, you probably don't supinate well. And that means that your foot's not interacting well with the ground, and therefore it's probably putting added stress at your knee. Now, this by no means answers the entire question of why do my knees hurt. However, it does teach you a pretty simple framework to start digging into yourself why you might be having knee pain. It can help explain whether you need more, less, or simply different types of exercises from what you're already doing. So using a simple framework like this can help you start exploring. And if you still don't get it, you may need to seek out a professional like myself or someone else to help guide you on that journey.